You got it?
Yeah. Mama did it fall. Okay, Mommy. I'm gonna just fall. Okay?
Don't fall.
I fall. Mama, I fall, okay?
You can do it. You got it.
How do you do? How do you do?
You got it.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about this interesting knife right here. It's pretty old, Victorian era carver. And so I'm also going to do a history on this knife, so it's going to be a little longer video, but I do those for people who don't have access to a lot of resources. Maybe they're holding on to a knife and they're wondering the story on this knife and can't find that information. So first let's look at this. It's 8 inches, pretty standard. And so this knife brought up a lot of questions in my mind. And you can see here, it's a Harrison Brothers and Howson. And you see the cutlers to Her Majesty in the VR up there. V crown R. So that stands for Victoria Regina. And the V would have been the monarch's first last name initials. And then the R, if it was regent, it would have been a male monarch, and Regina was a female monarch. But this is in really good shape, and I think it's really interesting. And that's the appeal to these carvers. Look at the stag on this. So obviously it's worn. A lot of the brown and the black has come off of this, but look at the ridges, the furrows in the stag there. Just really good shape. Really interesting knife, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. We might as well talk about it now. 8 inches long. This is a carver. May be classified as a slicer. So slicers weren't quite as heavy as carvers. Maybe this was used for cutting ham. I don't know. But you have a thin collar here. This is silver. I don't see any color on that. Frequently they did put color on it. And this is silver on the end cap, butt cap here. You can see the pins where they drove it in. And this is just to make it more appealing. You know, you don't need to have a butt cap, but I like the curved grip on this. And the other thing I noticed about this is if you compare it to carvers nowadays, they don't have this little spot here. And that's a spot you can put your thumb. The other thing about this is you notice it's a kind of a different design there. And that's not from wear on the knife. That's actually original to this style of carver. I've seen other ones like that. I actually have another one that's like that. And so another interesting thing is you have up at the top here, you've got a swedge which runs down the length of it. And I just think that's interesting too. It just goes to show you the long-lasting effect of the Bowie with its swedges. It wasn't long before that was transferred to all kinds of other knives, including kitchen cutlery. So Harrison Brothers and Howson. Actually, the main character here was Howson, so it's kind of unusual that his name is at the end and Harrison Brothers are up front. But George Howson was a cutler who comes on the scene around 1820, and there's a bunch of Howson cutlers in the Sheffield area and in England. So unfortunately, we're not able to draw a connection between George and other cutlers. So we don't know whether that history extends back into the 1700s or not. Frequently, they did start out that way. They had family in the cutlery business, and that's how that all started. But we can't determine that with George. So he joined a firm called Thomas Sansom, Sansom, Sansom and Sons, and worked his way up to being a partner in the company. So that's notable right there. And then in 1847, George passed away, but he had raised two sons, or he raised a son called William, and the Harrison brothers, James and Henry Harrison, joined with William and took control of the Sansom and Sons partnership. And so they bought the business out, basically. And so that's at 1849. And they start going from there. William, one of the Harrison, or William Howson, became the traveler. Henry went to America. Henry Harrison went to America. And so they established offices in America, not only on the East Coast, but towards the late 1800s. They were also established in San Francisco. And so this is a booming business, and it was an important business. And if you're not familiar with that name, Harrison Brothers and Howson's was one of the largest firms in Sheffield at the turn of the century. Well respected, produced cutlery the old-fashioned way, and it was exceedingly good cutlery. They were in America through the 1850s, 1860s, and 1855. They adopted the Alpha trademark, and so this is Alpha spelled out with a crown on top of it. And that's their primary trademark, which, by the way, is lacking on this knife. So it wasn't until 1875 that William became a partner in this endeavor. So that's pretty interesting right there. But William became a partner, and slowly around that time frame, the Harrison brothers start retiring, start passing away, and slowly the control of the company is just staying with the Howson family. And in 1849, they received a royal warrant. And so to be able to put this on your cutlery, that's a royal mark. And to be able to put that on your cutlery, you had to have a warrant. In other words, the crown allowed you to do that. And so they had that since 1849, and that was a big deal. Not a lot of cutlers got that. In 1870, they opened up an office in London. Around this time, they start concentrating on silver and electroplate. So the businesses that survived the Great Depression there in England from 1890 to 1920 in the cutlery industry, they had their foot in electroplating, silversmithing, and also other things like refining steel and that type of thing. Those were the guys who really made it in the industry. So that's a smart move on their part. In 1881, they were listed in a census as having 139 men, 61 boys, 39 women, and 18 girls. So that's something foreign in America today with child labor, right? But this is not forced labor. These kids wanted to work there. They probably worked there because their parents wanted to work there, or maybe they worked there with their parents. I don't know. But generally, they were taken good care of. Oftentimes, in the 1800s, businesses exploited labor with very long hours, but the children, weren't really caught up in that kind of thing. So it's not as bad as it sounds. In 1894, they purchased the Staghead trademark, and William received a silver mark. His silver mark is GH, just a large capital G and a capital H in a circle. And in 1896, they were listed as having 700 men in the firm. So you can see the rapid growth of the firm from the 1870s up to the 1890s, over a 20-year period. And in interviews, George had said that half of the labor that went involved into his knives were done off premises. So that just gives you an indication of the size of this firm coming into the 1890s. And that's going to be the start of some bad times for the British cutlery because of the American tariffs. In 1902, they acquired Charles Ibotson's Slash, Early Bird, and Charlo trademarks. And they were listed in 1914 as the top 6 firms in Sheffield. They were one of the first firms to use stainless steel in 1915. In 1930, George Howson died. All of these people involved with the firm left huge estates, extremely rich. They made a lot of money making the knives and doing it well. And by 1959, Viners had bought them out, the company out, and Viners would use the trademark probably. I think I have one of Viner's knives with a Howson trademark. So these are interesting knives. It's not the forte of everybody, certainly. Why I buy knives are like these are just the history. If you're wondering about shear steel, the only place you're probably going to find it is in a carver like this. So this is a shear steel, made out of shear steel. Very old process of making steel. And this knife is razor sharp, and I haven't sharpened it. It's just sharp. And shear steel has that character. And maybe in another video I'll talk about that a little bit more. But they're interesting. If this is one of the least expensive ways, by the way. If you want to have a knife from 1800s, especially early in the 1800s, you can pick these carvers up for little or nothing. It's a great way to get a hold of an old knife that has these beautiful stag handles. I've got carvers that are ornately decorated around the collars. They're just really cool, and you can pick them up for $12. I got this one I bought a lot of 4 of these for $20. So I got four of these old carvers for $20. One of them in that group was like brand new and in a box. So they're amazing values and good pieces of history just to have one if you don't want to collect more than one. Just an interesting piece of history to have. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Before you sign off, so why do I have this rock here? So I got this rock in Central America. I went into a cave, part of a tour with my wife, and we tubed down the cave. So there's a stream running through the cave, And we went down a series of stairs from the mouth of the cave to the stream and then got in. And you go maybe 150 yards to the back of the cave. And they said not to take anything from the cave, but my wife squirreled this away. And what's interesting is towards the back of the cave, there was kind of like a beach area. It was flat. And they said archaeologists had found that that was an area where they sacrificed people. So the whole time I was going through this cave, I was going, whoa, and making sounds like that to scare everybody. And Sherry pulled this out and brought it with us. Pretty cool. And you know, I told her she was going to be cursed for taking it from the cave, but I don't know whether that ever happened or not. She's got me, so she might be cursed. All right, so thanks for watching the video. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you learned a few things. If you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you. And thank you so much for watching.